Look at that. Bastard. I'm always nervous for a spray up. You know, I've done it 1,000 times, but I still get nervous every single time because you need to know everything is done correctly. A couple of little tricks that I do. High pressure air is one of them, and brute force is the other, really. G'day guys, Roscoe here. Last episode I left you all hanging. I think that might have caused a little bit of frustration with you guys, but the frustration I was having was just beyond belief. That split gland that you'll notice there is dripping, and in fact it wasn't until I noticed the footage of the dripping that I saw where the problem was, and I was able to resolve it. But yep, a day later I head into town, get the correct fitting. I've got a 5/8 female threaded fitting, then with a 1/4 barbed fitting I was able to solve the problem and certainly get back into business. It was one of those things, you know, you buy a new machine and you expect it to be right, but it wasn't, and this wasn't the end of the problem, so there was plenty more to come. So you can see how I've resolved that with a couple of stainless steel spring clips. A lot of people gave me a bit of advice, and you know, at the end of the day, it's great to get the feedback from you guys. So thanks for that. I'm going to move on and hopefully get in a test spray. So hold tight. Okay, a full day later, it's all set up again. That little quick edit I did is actually going to show you that nothing goes to plan. So, and you can expect that in jobs like this when you're dealing with high pressure air, gel coats, sprays, anything like this. You've got to make sure your systems are perfect. So hopefully I'm at a point now where this will work, and I should be able to get some results. So I'm going to start pumping the gel coat through again and get to the nozzle of the gun, and then I might be able to spray at some point today. So that's where I'm at. Okay, we've got some action. Pretty happy to hear that. We've got gel coat moving through the gun. Well, I'm a bit excited because I've got no leaks so far, so I'm going to give it a test run on a bit of cardboard, and then I'm just going to lay up a bit on that, spray up a bit on that flat sheet over there, and hopefully all going well, if that sets in an hour or two, I'll hit these modules today and get a layer on them over tonight and tomorrow, and I'll be on my way with them. But let's give it a crack and see how it goes, eh? Okay, so that fan looks pretty good. I'm going to introduce the catalyst and see how we go now. Alright, let's just take a little look at what I've got here. Okay, I started with a fan of about this big, and the ideal is to have around about a 10-inch long fan, a bit like this, with no blotchiness within it. You want an even spray. So I think I've achieved that with the setting I've got on the gun now. It's a bit of a fiddle, but I think I've got it, and I'm going to spray up this with a flat sheet, and the catalyst looks pretty good too, so I'm going to give that a crack. The preparation of this flat gal sheet required 3 layers of TR release wax, which I buff on, I wax it on, wax off, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, and that ensures a good release. Now, this machine did deliver a very constant flow of gel coat, and that's very important. A lot of machines will pump and and splatter or create too much volume at the wrong time, and you end up with blotchiness. But I'm pleased to announce that it did actually deliver quite a smooth flow and a very even distribution of the catalyst. I've basically buffed this with a foam buffer on a very slow speed for 2 coats of release wax after 2 coats of permaglaze, or sealer glaze I should call it. It's important that the last one of the Canupa wax, or the TR release wax, is done by hand. You don't want to be buffing it with a machine because you might actually remove material. So I put it on with the applicator, which is like a sponge applicator, and then the second the follow-up is with a cotton t-shirt, and then I come back over it again with another rag and make sure there's no lint or anything on it. So it's a bit of a process, but the result compared to here is the material on it, and here is the final release product ready to take the gel coat is quite remarkable after you've done 5 coats of wax on something that's been sat in the sun for so many years. So pretty stoked, just about to gel these up the Savo, provided that test panel is catalysing okay. So there's a range of things going on here, and I've got to make sure I get it all my ducks in a line. Okay, I've got my mask on because that still stinks. Okay, before I get started, I've set up a camera up here that's hopefully right down on the job and away from any overspray. So the last time I did a spray up, freaking lens got covered in gel coat. I just want to show you the part I sprayed earlier. About 3.5 hours ago, I sprayed this part. Okay, so, and the trick to gel coat is to have a tacky surface, but you don't end up with any residue on your fingers. So the idea is I should be able to run my hand along that. Oh, yes. So that indicates my catalyst is correct. It's very hard to judge, 1.5 to 2% anymore, and you're going to end up with excess of catalyst. In here, I have a temperature gauge as well, and I'm aiming at around about 22 degrees, which is pretty much optimal. And we've got around about 40% humidity. And yep, 23 degrees, that gauge, so spot on for in here. Excellent atomization. I've got a good, dry, clean area here, and I do vacuum this space out before I start to laminate or do any sort of spraying, so there's no airborne dust as I'm moving around. But it's time to get going, and yeah, it's always a bit nerve-wracking, but had my lunch, had my glass of water. I always have a glass of water for a start, because I could be in here for hours now, so yeah, I'm nervous. I'm always nervous for a spray up. You know, I've done it 1,000 times, but I still get nervous every single time because you need to know everything is done correctly, and it's got to be almost hospital clean in here, and although it doesn't look it, it is. It's as good as I can possibly get this space.
pop. 33 minutes, so not bad. I think it's pretty good. I was going to go back and give it a bit of a top up, but I was able to do that as a secondary pass, so I'm hoping that's going to be enough.
Just want to quickly show you something. Why you cover everything over in this room, you know, I sprayed this mold up here. Look at the overspray. I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal. It's everywhere. And if you don't cover these molds up, I mean, there's another spot there. I just had something sat there. If you don't cover them up, you're going to end up with shit all over them. So you must cover everything over. I mean, absolutely everything in this room now has overspray on it. It is a fact of life in any spray painting business.
Okay, so last night I came back and did a small touch up on some spots that I thought were a little bit thin, and I've come in, it's about sort of 9 hours later, so it's really sort of getting on the point where I need to get on laminating these things. I've given the machine a really good clean out as well, because it was yeah, I had a few problems. I think I had a little bit too much pressure coming in. It's a funny thing, because it feeds the same air pressure, feeds the pump as feeds the gun, and typically these types of guns operate at around about 50 psi, you know, 45 to 50 psi. I was running it around about 80 or 90, so I think that's a lot of the overspray is actually because of that. So a couple of things to sort of think about when you're setting up your system. Make sure that you understand the pressure details and all the little intricacies that go with your gun, including how to pull the bastard apart, because when I pulled it apart, I totally serviced it and put it back together again, so it's spraying well now. You'll notice also that this line has now become blue. I've got polyester resin now feeding into it, and typically I should be able to spray it just like I do with the other gun. I should be able to spray any type of saturated resin, i.e. vinyl ester, polyester. These modules are all polyester, just to keep, A, to keep costs down, B, it's not as critical, it's not as structural, never going to be experience a lot of moisture, or not immersed moisture anyway, maybe you know, dampness in the cabin, but certainly not immersion like your hull would be. Oh, I've had a bit of a bad day. I've got a bit of a problem with my gun.
couldn't quite get it, so it took me pretty much the best part of 3 hours just to get one tile layer on here, and I'm doing this one by hand because my other gun is up on the mould, so I'll have to get it down tomorrow, but I'm going to do this one by hand. I must get this tile layer on today to tie the gel coat down, so I'm sort of running out of time, so I haven't really had a lot of time to film either. But yeah, this is yeah, it's going down. It's a 300 CSM. It'll tie it down, and tomorrow I can come in and put some subsequent layers on, hopefully with my other gun. I've got to friggin' break this other thing down and see if I can get it to work. But yeah, some days it just shit follows you. It's unbelievable. Oh, it's been a big day. It's like 10 hours of straight laminating on.
Right, sorry guys, I had to blank that out because it was a little bit over the top. But there was a copyright claim on my channel here. Right here, I had a bit of background music playing on the radio, and in fact, it was picked up by YouTube, and fair enough too. I was, you know, it was a pretty good song, and I was having a bit of a sing to it while I was just pacing myself on this epic day of hand laminating. But basically, hand mixing this stuff is just the most ordinary experience. It takes absolutely hours and hours just to mix and get it right, and there's a little bit of inconsistency with hand mixing as well. So I'm sorry I had to blank this section out, but you know, the modules were finished, and it was a huge day. I think it was roughly nine and a half hours by the time I finished both of these modules. I probably won't be doing 2 again at the same time.
Sometimes I just can't be bothered talking to the camera, so sorry guys, I miss all of that, but I'm freaking knackered. I've just done 2 tile layers on these modules. I started using the gun, as you saw earlier. It just played up to the point that I just lost the plot and hand mixed it, and I've just hand rolled, hand mixed, frickin' hell. Big day, done about 9 straight hours. I'm pretty knackered. That was almost back-breaking down at that level for me. It's just leaning over, I hate bending over. And I'm stuck to the floor, as you can hear. Absolute epic, but they're done. Will be maybe 2 tomorrow, just see how I go. But, oh mate, that was a bloody monster. That thing's about friggin' 8 square metres there. That is a hell of a lot. That's about 4 kayaks worth of laminating there in one hit.
Well, that's about it, boys. That's about all I can give you this week. I think you can pretty much tell that I was a little bit sick and tired of that machine. There was a couple of issues. When I bought the gun, it came with a small filter, but it just wasn't fine enough to filter out any of the debris and, you know, any sort of congealed gel or anything, to be honest. And it was getting plugged into the spray gun nozzle tip, and as a result, it simply wasn't spraying well enough. And it's come to light in the last couple of weeks when I've put those modules into the boat itself, or lifted them in, as I've had a couple of gel coat issues. Luckily, they're right where there's wardrobes and cupboards in the module, so it's sort of all worked out in the end. But yeah, I think you can pretty much tell that I was just about had the jack of it, and I was all ready to chuck the thing away. However, I have resolved it, and the manufacturer has come to the party and replaced certain components of it that need replacing, including the gun, and I'll sort of deal with that in future episodes. But I think that's enough of me laminating and complaining for one issue. But it was a bit of a fun one for you to watch, but I'll tell you what, it wasn't a fun one for me. I think I was just about at my limit. But thanks for watching, guys. Give it a like, subscribe it, and please stay tuned, because there's a whole hell of a lot more coming up your way, and it'll be good to have you along. Thanks fellas, catch you later, bye.